So this Sunday, there was a pretty divisive call. It was an offsides on Kadarius Toney to call back a game-winning play by the Chiefs. And of course, the Chiefs ended up not winning, and Patrick Mahomes had what many would call a small meltdown. And later, he actually got clowned on for it. And I think a lot of people I noticed just kind of had no respect for his reaction, and that got old Isaac Philosophy's thinking. Why are people so mad at him? Now, first, there's an element to it where Pet has a lot of calls go his way in big game. And I'm not going to dwell on this too long, because unless you're a real conspiracy theorist, you realize that a lot of these calls are out of his control. And although it can be frustrating for him to beg for these calls and get them all the time, thus more gratifying when one of these ticky-tack calls go against him in the same manner, I think there's really another layer that can be summed up in a single play from the same game. To the untrained eye, you might not even notice what happened. But to the based and anti-Chief pill people such as myself, this little movement at the end of the Mahomes run probably pissed you off. You see, just a game prior, Mahomes was running out of bounds, not even fully out, and got hit. Well, let me remind you once again, he was in bounds, and the opposing team got called for unnecessary roughness. This was an absolutely bogus call, but the message it sends is to say this: if it looks like a quarterback is even about to step out of bounds, just let them step out of bounds. He also, in the playoffs last year, got a call on a very questionable late hit. It was a late hit, but you know, you'll see why it's questionable in a second. Jumping back to this week's game, the Bills player is heeding that unwritten referee advice from the game prior and tries to let him step out of bounds and slows his own momentum. And what does Mahomes do? Except shake and bake and try to get extra yards. This is why people have such a problem. It's not just the refs occasionally giving him calls, but when the teams play differently around the calls the refs are giving him in good faith that they're not trying to hurt anybody and they just want him to get out of bounds like he probably would have even if they did hit him. He blatantly just takes advantage of that. But oh, it's gonna be all tears, and why would they do that if they did collide with him near the sideline? And I'm sure that flag would be thrown again. So to me, this is my biggest problem with his reaction to this call, is that it really does just feel like a spoiled child not getting their way. I'd love to know what you guys are thinking, and if you feel like interacting with some seething, coping Chiefs fans, I'm sure they'll be in the comments below, but let me know how you feel about it. Peace.
How many times has he won the game